border. Joining us now is former Acting Secretary of Homeland Security, Chad Wolf. Chad, thanks so much for joining us. I want to start with your view of the proposals the administration has put into place over the course of the last couple of weeks, which try and get at several areas, whether origin, whether deterrence, whether processing speed. Where do you think they should be doing more, in your mind?
Well, it's a great question. I think certainly on the deterrence side, I think a lot of the measures that they're putting in place, that they announced last week and really have announced over the last several months, is really talking about processing more and more illegal aliens into the country quicker and quicker. And so that's problematic, right? Because that's going to continue to incentivize. That's exactly what the cartels want to hear and see, because they can market that to individuals, saying that you're getting into the United States quicker. They're giving you more opportunities to come to the United States. So we've really got to address a little bit of the deterrence. We've got to hold people accountable that if they choose to cross illegally here in El Paso or elsewhere along this border, that we hold them accountable. There are legal ways to come into the country. And we need to funnel people to those ways and stop the illegal behavior, because that's what's causing the border to be in such chaos at the moment.
Along those lines, though, you say that, but the administration's, I think, as far as I know, about to roll out a new asylum rule that kind of echoes what the Trump administration did in terms of barring migrants from seeking asylum in the U.S. Without first trying to seek asylum through another country. Why? They're getting a lot of flack from Democrats, from their congressional allies on that.
Yeah.
Why is that not enough? That's deterrence. That's very similar to what you guys were doing. Why is that not enough?
So I've looked at that rule. It's a good first step. Again, I'm not sure why they basically didn't defend that rule at the beginning of the administration that was still in place from the Trump administration. So we're 2 years late in that rule. There's a lot of, I would say, loopholes in that rule, but it's a good first step. So they're trying to do the right thing. But what I will tell you is it's far too little, far too late at this point. That rule alone is not going to do it. The parole system that they have put in place, paroling in 30,000 individuals, the CBP-1 app, all you have to do is register on that app, and again, you will probably get paroled into the United States. These continue to be pull factors that are bringing these illegal aliens in record numbers. And again, you don't have to take my word for it. You just look at the data and the statistics. More and more individuals are coming in. More and more gotaways are coming across that border every single month. There's got to be a reason for that. And I think it's in part some of the policies that we've seen over the last 27 months.
Do you think Title 42 should remain in place? That's been your position, right? Title 42 should stick around?
Well, I think it's been extremely helpful for the Border Patrol to try to really manage the crisis that they're seeing. And when you're overwhelmed to the extent that Border Patrol agents are every single day, this allows them to return individuals back to Mexico in a very expedited fashion. Without that, DHS is going to have to put these individuals in Title VIII proceedings, and most, if not all of them, will be released into American communities. So if we're thinking about Americans first, and we're thinking about the safety and well-being of Americans, a Title 42 authority or like authority is very helpful when the border is in such chaos and it's overwhelmed to the extent it is today.
So the reason why I ask, and I think you get at this a little bit when you say Title 42 like authority, is this is obviously tied to a public health emergency. I don't think you would sit here and say that COVID is still a public health emergency. I think it's been utilized long after it was really even tied to that anymore. So the question becomes, this takes legislative action. And I think if there's one area of broad agreement from both parties, it's that the system itself is broken despite unilateral actions depending on political party. So what do? You can't actually legally still have Title 42 in place if there's no public health emergency. What's your solution here in terms of a legislative process beyond kind of one-offs from the executive side?
Well, you're exactly right. When you look at Title 42 like authority, unless the administration is going to declare a public health emergency around the fentanyl crisis, which there's probably some legitimacy to that, it is probably going to take some legislative action if you're just looking at Title 42 authority. Now, look, there's a number of things that the president, the DHS secretary can do today to help curb this crisis. There's a number of authorities that they inherently have and can execute on today. They're not doing that. They've called on Congress to give them more authority. I think we're seeing some action in the House this week on that. But again, the legislative process is not quick. It's slow. So I'm a big champion and a fan of utilizing the authorities that they have today to help stem the crisis, to help bring some order back to the border, and to help Border Patrol agents who have been overwhelmed now for the last 27 months.
Just last one before I let you go. Is it possible to do the deterrence you think is necessary and also maintain a safe and humane system?
Well, I think it is. I think you can do both, but you've got to bring, again, that order, that deterrence. You got to hold people accountable. I think you can do all that while still giving individuals who are claiming asylum, who really, really need those protections found in U.S. law. How do we get them the protections early in the process so they're not waiting 5 years, that they don't become lost into the system? I think that is really the point here. We tried to do that, I think, successfully with the Remain in Mexico program. This administration doesn't like that. So what are the other alternatives? And to my mind, they haven't come up with those alternatives because we continue to see these record numbers at the border every month.
Yeah, I don't think Remain in Mexico is viewed as safe and humane. It was effective on a numbers perspective. Chad Wolf, keep this discussion going for a very long time. Thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it.
All right.